That's bad.
All right, what's up, guys? Finally back out here in the garage. Mostly my fault because I was dragging my feet ordering the parts for it. But hopefully today we can get this thing back to an actual roller. I mean, you can see that the wheels and stuff are on it, but the steering isn't hooked up at all. The steering shaft to the rack isn't hooked up. There's no tie rods in it. So that is step one of what we're going to try and get done today. And then some of the other stuff that should be showing up today, tomorrow, Friday. Alternator bracket. I was going to try to put like an F-body one in there. It looks like there's enough room there, but I think the pulley might stick out into the piping. So I said, screw it. Just ordered the same bracket that I had on the RX-7. Good bracket. Kept the belt on. Nice. I didn't need to order the belt. Forgot about that. Not a big deal. I got an F-body pulley coming for it. I was going to run the truck one, but then I'd have to space out the water pump. I mean, maybe. There might be enough room, but I should space out the water pump, and then I was worried about this getting into the charge pipe, so I was like, you can get an F-body pulley for 80 bucks. So I just ordered one. So that's all good. It'll keep things nice and tight. I think I've got all the stuff to do the lower hose. I got the adapter for the upper hose, so that's looking good. I do need to wallow out this hole a little bit and then redo the charge pipe down here, because when I made that one, I was completely forgetting how I wanted to run the down pipe out the bumper. So that's kind of, they're trying to occupy the same space right now. Right now it's just dumped down there. So if you remember, the charge pipe out of the intercooler here goes like straight over and then up into the turbo. So I need to bring that up on an angle to make some space to bring a pipe there. This would work fine, but it'll look a lot cooler, and it'll get, like, if anything ever goes wrong, it's not going to blow oil or anything right under the tires. It'll blow it out, hopefully. Fingers crossed. The fuel pump's on its way. I think for now I'm just going to run a single 525. That should be enough for about 600 horsepower on E85 boosted fuel injection. If we were running like regular pump gas, like 93, that can support, I want to say like 750, 800, give or take, kind of in that neighborhood, which we probably could do, just run this on regular pump 93, but it's expensive. I don't know about where you guys are at, but around me, pump 93 is like around $4 a gallon, I think. I don't know, I haven't bought it in a while. And E85 is like 250, 260, 270 maybe. We do have a refinery about 15 miles up the road. You can buy it right from them. They got their own pumps there. And I want to say they're like around 230. So that's usually where we go for like jack and the RX-7 and everything. Then I've got the fuel pressure regulator that I still need to mount to the strut tower there. And then we can run our lines and everything. I need to make sure that I've got the correct fittings to go from the stock lines to the regulator, which I should. If not, those are relatively cheap. Throttle cable. What can we do about you? We might be able to... Yeah, I might be able to reuse the stock one. How tight would that be? Just have to change some things. Yeah, I might be able to find a way to make this work. Might have to like grind this down or something to fit into the slot. Yeah, that'd be cool. There's just a bunch of little stuff here and there. The car overall, relatively close. Someone who had good motivation, it could be probably done by like the end of the year. Me, I don't know. If we're done by the end of January, I'm happy. I'm kind of dragging my feet with it. The big things, I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but the big things, I got to make a drive shaft or order one, but I'll probably make one to save a few bucks. We're going Power Glide to 8.8. Still have to find an 8.8, which, I mean, those are out there. Just haven't pulled the trigger on that yet either. And then fuel system wired up. That's kind of it. So I'm going to get started on like the tie rods and the steering real quick, which that I just need to, well, I can lift the car up and show you guys what I'm talking about for that. All right, so I did take note before I started lifting the car up, which way the steering wheel was facing. It's like at 11:30, so if I turn this right there, this at the top should be 12 o'clock. And then it looks like this thing slides enough that I can just cut it straight off there. Yeah, and that should be plenty, I think. How far down? Yeah, and then I'm going to have to measure the stick out on these to make sure that the rack is centered in line with the steering wheel. And then hopefully that means once I put the tie rods on, everything's pretty darn close. I need to mark which one is top too, so that I don't get the orientation mixed up. All right, got that stock joint cut off. Really isn't in too bad a shape for like one of these rag joints. This one's, I don't know if that's rubber or poly. Anyway, getting distracted. And then wire wheeled the coating off of this. This is just a, I think like a 9/16 27 spline, 30 spline, I don't remember. It was whatever the steering rack needed. So that slips on there, nice and easy. This can, yeah, it looks like it can go in any orientation, and then you just lock it down with the set screw. Ideally the set screw would go on the flat section, but we'll kind of see where we end up. And then this I can just weld right to the end there. Let me make sure I've got enough. Oh yeah, we've got almost a 1/2 inch of gap there, so that's good. Yep, so now I can just get that bad boy welded on there, and then we're good. Since this can go in pretty much any orientation, it's not super crucial to get it lined up with the steering wheel. Now I do know that ideally you want these in like equal opposites. The paint pen wasn't working too well. I think it's got to be this one. So that one up. I don't know how I'm going to film welding this with my phone, so you guys will just have to wait to see the after. Lucky you. Just getting to jump to where it's done. Alright, got that all welded up. See, I don't want to grab it if it's still super, super hot down here. But got it as centered as I could. Looking pretty good. Now I need to center up the rack. Make sure that, I mean, looks like it's driver's side a lot. Make sure that both these are screwed in all the way. I don't know if we're going to need them or not, but they came with the rack, because this is a Fox body rack, so these are like little extension pieces. Find the tape measure. Let's see, where can we, you go the way. Where can we get a good measurement from? Maybe from those. So that's 13. Excuse me, partner. And that is 14. So we gotta go a little bit more. Don't be hot, don't be hot. Ooh, it's excruciating. All right. Putting on a glove with one hand. What you know about it? All right, so it looks like we're trying to aim for about 13.5. Come on, you prick. 13.25. Looks like I went too far. Come on. Yeah, 13.75. All right. Let's try there. How we doing? 13.5. And this is a very rough measurement because I highly doubt that 13.5. I highly doubt that those little boot clamps are they're pretty close actually. But still, I'm not going to put a whole lot of faith in that being dead centered. So I was really thinking about getting a bump stop kit, but this car doesn't need it. Let's be honest. This isn't going to be some crazy like drag, no prep car, anything like that. We just need basic tie rods. Detroit Axle. Got these here quick as heck. Not a sponsor. Would love it if they were though. Also, with our rack spacing like that, it should get it a little bit closer to inline, hopefully. don't know for sure, but hopefully. So a bump stop kit was like 100, 130 bucks. These were 30 bucks, I think. So you gotta remember, this is a budget build. I think not including like the cost of parts that I've had laying around, because it's hard to put a price on those, just the money out of pocket so far, including Dad buying the car for 700 bucks. I think realistically, like money out of pocket right now, we've got 2,000 in the car. If you were to add up all the cost of the parts, yeah, that adds up quite a bit. Like, there's just no way getting around that. Fairly built Power Glide, built 6.0 stock bottom end, but good Brian Tooley cam. The heads have been gone through, like not like anything crazy, just like a good clean and seals and all that. We've got a decent VS turbo. Like realistically, I think if we were to buy everything where we're at right now, we'd probably have like $5-6 grand in the car, maybe. Like if we actually had to go out and purchase everything from scratch, I think that's about where we'd be. So we're doing pretty good, having only about 2,000 into it. Which is exactly why I don't like getting rid of things. Build some shelves and keep it for the future. Unless you're a one car kind of guy, which in my heart I want to be, but I just be liking cars, man. Anyway, let me get these tie rods thrown on and we'll see how close we can get this thing. Then we should be able to set it down and it be an actual roller to where we could, if we needed to, put it on a trailer. All right, so nothing's ever easy. The tie rods should be just screw it on, line things up, you're done. Not working out that way. So for whatever reason, the new tie rods seem to have just a hair different thread than the rack and the spacers. So this is as far in as I could get it. And this side, I heated up with the torch thinking maybe it was just really cold, and still went in just like a 1/4 inch further than that. Now, I don't know if you can tell, the toe's not exactly where we want it. This side, I ended up cutting off the spacer. I cut like 3/4 of an inch off. That's actually still hot. Because I was like, well, replacing these spacers if I have to is a lot easier than getting new tie rods. It should be a lot cheaper than getting new tie rods or replacing that. So we're a little bit better. We're toe in now, which is good because that's all the way in. So now I'm going to cut another good chunk off of this, and then I'll lower it down, throw the front end on the casters, get a pretty rough measurement, and see how we're looking. All right, got those on. Everything's looking a lot closer now. They are screwed all the way in, out, I think 2 turns, which I don't know if they need to go in more, out more. We'll know once we get it lowered down on the casters and can take some measurements. I'm sure someone's going to be concerned about how much is actually screwed in there. There's like 3/4 of an inch screwed in there. Like I said, the thread was off just a little bit to where once it got in there, about 1/2, 3/4 of an inch, it just got hard to turn. So there's plenty in there. I'm not worried about that at all. Like let's say, I don't know what the actual thread pitch is, but let's say it was a 125 pitch. It's like it was cut at like a 130 pitch or something like that, or like a 128 pitch. You know what I mean? It's just a hair off. Let me get this thing lowered down. We'll take some measurements, try and get this thing as close as we can, just eyeballing it. You know, hillbilly alignment. Then we'll line up the steering wheel, lock that all down. All right. Yeah, that is very toe in. This one I'm guessing is also pretty toe in. So let's see if I can crawl under this and make some adjustments real quick. So just took some measurements, had that aluminum bar kind of as our reference, you know what I mean? So hook the tape measure to that, measured across with the car up a little bit. And the front was like 70 3/8, and the back was like 70 5/8, which 1/4 inch, that's good enough for us. That'll get us by until we can get it actually aligned at some point, which, you know, if it's close enough, we may never get it aligned. All right, just had another fresh shipment show up. Got a fresh radiator cap, 18 pounds seems to keep them happy. Got our adapter for this upper radiator hose, that's all looking good. And some of the more exciting stuff, we got our new balancer here. Yeah, all right, cool. So, got our F-body balancer. Nice, fresh, This is only the second brand new LS balancer I've ever seen, so that's cool. Got our alternator bracket, which we will get thrown on here in a second. Some of the more exciting stuff is radiator hose couplers. These are 1 3/4 to 1 1/2 90s. 10 AN cap, 90 degree 8th NPT to 4 AN for our turbo oil feed line. My plan is to run that from down at the port, down on the back driver's side of the motor, run it up and over, follow along the fuel rail, and then jaunt it over here. I'm worried that it might be a little too long, so we'll see how that plays out once I start getting it on. And then I was thinking, once I redo this charge pipe here, I got a 45 coming, so that shouldn't take long to redo. 2 cuts, 1 weld, and then that's hopefully all done. For the rest of the exhaust, I could probably make it out of some of this aluminum and just V-band it. Or I could just make it all one piece out of stainless. I've got that chunk there. I've got some other ones over there I could probably cut up. One step at a time. Let's get our alternator bracket on. That way we can visualize this as a more complete car, more complete hot rod. And then probably dilly-dally until the end of the video. So this is obviously from ICT Billet. It was 120 bucks, more than I wanted to spend. I think I mentioned earlier that what I wanted to do initially was put the alternator down here in this hole. Yeah, it maybe could fit, but it maybe could not fit. I've used that bracket on the RX-7 and the Dime a Dozen S10. Worked really well both times. It's got 2 idlers to help keep the belt from having any floppy sections so it doesn't come off. It's a really good setup. So I was like, let's just run with what we know works. It looks good. It should put the alternator right in here. Ooh, I didn't realize I almost pulled this off the counter. All right, got this all cut out. It's relatively straightforward. This plate, contrary to what you'd expect, the ICT stamped one goes behind, closer to the engine. These are the 2 pulleys. This one goes either way. So that is our spacer there. That'll go, yeah, up top. This one, our idler. Did I call that I don't know what I called a spacer. You're not fitting. I got those backwards. You're just not fitting, huh? No. Well, shoot, partner. What's going on here? Might have to get a little creative with this one. Shave it down or something. Alright. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Alright, that is how we're looking now that I was able to use both hands. Except instead of bolt down there, it's going to be cylinder head. So I'm going to set the phone down and try to get this all thrown on the car real quick. It's a lot easier to do with both hands than to try to explain it while holding a phone. So I'm going to go do, and then I'll explain. Alright, got it ground down enough to where I could press it on. Pretty sure it's on all the way. Didn't feel like it wanted to go anymore, and I didn't want to risk busting anything. If it's off by maybe like 50 thou. Which could be enough, who knows. So I'm going to finish getting this bolted up, and then, man, I might have been overconfident about that alternator clearing the hood. No, it should still clear it. I'm pretty sure that'll be the highest point of the alternator now. So, yeah, I think it'll clear it. If the strut bolt clears, then the alternator should clear. We'll see. I think I've got one laying around we can test on it. Alright, got that all bolted on and dug out an alternator bracket I've got over here. Just eyeballing it. Did I say alternator bracket? I meant alternator. But just eyeballing it. That's going to be freaking close, man. Well, I'm going to get that thing busted off and throw it on here, see how we're looking. It should clear the battery, because I can move that up here more. I'm worried about it getting into this box here. That's going to be real fucking annoying. If it does, I'll figure something out, I guess. Gosh dang it, man. Well, let's not make an omelet until we know our egg's cracked, so let's get this thing pulled off this bracket. Man, this thing just barely cleared. And I'm talking by the hair of his chinny chin chin. Jeez. I may have been a little overconfident because I didn't check the measurements. So I was like, I've ran this in 2 other vehicles. I know how far it sticks out. It'll work. But man, it is close. And I'm going to have to make sure I make a heck of a good mount for this battery. And I might be able to trim this plastic on the back of the alternator a little bit more. Well, this alternator is probably junk, so that's kind of all I can do right now aside from getting the balancer on, which my little mini torch is out of heat. Out of gas. Yeah, I need to go inside and take a break. So that is where we're going to end the video here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, clicking that bell to get notifications. I'll see you guys next time.